In this section, we're going to cover the resources and materials that you're going to need to customize a draft resume. So for starters, you're going to want to log on to this website here and grab something called the VMET, the Verification of Military Experience and Training. So if you go click on Login, now while you're still on active duty, you can access it with your CAT card, simple and easy. But once you get out, you're not going to have a CAT card, obviously. So you're going to want to create a DS logon. This is also going to be the logon you're going to be using to access another website called eBenefits. We'll cover that in a bit. Because my VMET logon, or my DS logon doesn't work, we're going to go here and look at other people's VMETs that they've uploaded for whatever reason. Because that's totally safe nowadays. For starters, you're going to have a little cover letter with the VMET that looks something like this, saying blah, blah, blah. This is a record of number of hours and experience that this person has had in doing whatever job they've done. And then it's going to list things like your rank, how many years you've been in, what your primary occupation is, what you've done. And if you get a chance to read these carefully, it'll actually show you what you've done. And if you look at here, say for this person, because they're an avionics technician, these are some related civilian occupations, and you can actually look them up. So this is the DOT, Department of Transportation. This is the job number. Same thing with the ONET. ONET has their own classification. You can type in this number, and then we'll cover ONET in a bit. The other tool you're going to want to use is what used to be known as the Smart Transcript. It was originally a transcript system used by the Navy and Marine Corps, but eventually the other services kind of hopped on as well, except for the Air Force. We'll talk about you guys in a bit. This will cover, if you grab your transcripts here, once again, just like your VMETs, it will help you draft your resume because it will have those keywords that you need to write something for your resume. Once again, both the VMET and the joint transcripts are unclassified, so you don't have to worry about switching languages to make sure that you're not revealing anything you're not supposed to and all that stuff. Now, what you're going to want to do is, because we covered the VMETs, we're going to talk about the ONET Crosswalk website here. Now, notice here earlier, I showed you that little portion and it had like DOT and that number. If you took that number and you typed it here, it would pop out with similar jobs in the civilian world. But let's say you want to go with this thing right here. Let's go with Army. I don't know, 11 Bravo. There's got to be 11 Bravo. Come on. I know that one. There we go. Infantrymen. I doubt there is such thing as infantry in the civilian world, but you guys can go ahead and check that out. Let's see here. First line supervisor and correctional officers, because you've always wanted to work in prisons. So if you scroll down here, they're going to list out a bunch of skills. So you may not want to be a correctional officer, but there are certain skills that can transfer over from one job to another. You don't have to be a correctional officer. We'll cover that in a bit. So if you look here, tasks, technology skills, knowledge, skills, abilities, these are all basically containing keywords that you're going to want to sprinkle your resume with. Work activities, detailed work activities, kind of gives you an idea of what you need. Job zone 3. Most occupations in this zone require training in vocational schools related on-the-job experience, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so education level. 70% of people in this job only have a high school diploma or an equivalent. 11% have some college or no degree, and 7% have an associate's degree, 7%. So there you go. You kind of get an idea of what sort of training you might need to get a job like this. Interests, that's regarding the Holland's Codes test. We'll talk about that in a bit. Work styles, work values. You're going to find out whether a job will fit you based on whether or not it fits your own personal values. That's another thing. So related occupations, remember we said that you may not necessarily want to be a correctional officer. Well, these are some alternative jobs you may want to consider that are similar enough, but not quite the same. So like maybe you don't want to be an officer dealing with prison mates. Maybe you want to be a criminal investigator. I don't know. Here's the thing down here you're going to want to use to figure out what the salary is for some of these jobs. Granted, this is national average, I believe. So 2912. If you go to the local average, this is by the state. Here we go. And you can get all sorts of information here. So this is the median range. This is what they make. Oh, in California, that's median. Holy crap, that's a lot. So there you go. If you want to be a correctional officer, you should come to California, apparently. So these show you the national and the state average. You're also going to want to check out other resources to see what is the local average. Now, when it comes to salary negotiation, you're going to want to check out websites like salary.com. And I mean, ever since salary.com came about, there have been other websites that do similar things. I personally like glassdoor.com because people who are actually in the jobs or were in certain jobs will submit a lot of information, like their salary information. They'll also do things like submit interview questions that they've had. So if you get a chance, sign up for this website, and you sign up for this website and take a look. These are all good These are all good things you can use to prepare for the job interview and how to prepare for the salary negotiation process. Going back to interests, ECR. What does this mean? This is based off something called the Holland's Code test, also known as the RIASEC test. So the idea is that you have three main personality tendencies that you go towards, and they kind of match your values. So these values are going to be realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. So if you want to take this test, there's several websites you can actually check out. mynextmove.org is one of them. Actually, I have it right here. Yes. I'm not really sure. Tell us what you'd like to do. Click on Start right here, and you can start the test. Another website you are going to want to check out is not that one. We'll talk about that in a bit. Is this one, the Cooter.com, specifically the one that's funded by Dante's. This is normally something you have to pay for, but because Dante's or the DoD has decided to pay for this, you can actually access this for free. What this will do is not only will it give you the Holland's Code test, it will also give you the MBTI. So the MBTI is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. So what this does, it categorizes you into a four-letter type, and based off of this category, it says that there are certain types of jobs that fit your personality. Now, you may or may not buy into this sort of information, but if you do, it does list out certain types of jobs that people tend to be happier in. If you believe in that stuff, hey, you can check it out. At least it'll give you an idea of what you might want to do if you're unsure. Another thing you might want to check out is this test right here, the something in French. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing it, but it's the Aptitude Test Career Profile. It's going to run through a series of questions saying, hey, what sort of activities do you like to do? What are some things you like to learn about? What are your strengths? What are your personality traits? What is your ideal workplace? These are all things you want to consider, at least. Even if you don't know what they are right now, you can take a shot, see if it makes any sense, and see if you like it. If it doesn't, hey, let me know. We basically covered all of this and B and C, and now we're going to cover licensing, certification, and apprenticeship. So you're going to want to go back down, or maybe scroll up. I can't remember. Licensing, there was this, oh yeah, find certifications. So if you want these sorts of jobs, it'll actually give you the types of certificates that people typically go for. You know, these are the types of certificates. Find licenses. What are some licenses you might need? Usually these are going to be state specific. I don't know how a correctional officer is going to need a license for painting and decorating, but if you've ever been a seaman on a ship, you know about painting and decorating ships. So maybe you should get licensed in that, or maybe not. Or you can go directly to their website, and then you can look up more credentialing information. You can find out certain specific apprenticeships, internships, certification programs. You can find them by colleges. You can find out whether or not you need a license. And this is all under the Career One-Stop umbrella. So the next website we're going to hit up is this one right here. The Army Cool website will look something like this. COOL stands for Credentialing Opportunities Online. There you go. Now you get it. So if you go here and you look up, okay, we did infantrymen earlier. Let's do something else. I don't know. What's what? 35p. Is that what they are now? 35 mic. Okay, whatever. Let's choose 35 mic. If you see here, these are going to be a list of certificates that you may want to get. Let's say if you do want to continue in being a human, not necessarily a human intelligence collector, but because these people have language skills, they're going to need certifications like certified healthcare interpreter, right? If you want to continue being an interpreter, this is a civilian certificate that you can obtain while you're still in the Army. The Army will pay for this, and this will actually be an extra tool that you can use. Or you can pay for some of these other things like counter intel certificate. I didn't know there was such a thing. And a bunch of other things that you can use to gain employment in the civilian world. But maybe that's a little bit too specific. Let's find something that's more 25R, Visual Information Equipment Operator Maintainer. I don't even know what that is, but let's check it out. So if you look at here, there are some other certificates. CCENT. Wow. So if you're going to be an IT guy, this would be a good thing to get. So these are some other MOSs that may want to obtain this certification if they want to be an IT guy. And that's basically that. So that's the Cool Army website. The Navy has something similar, so we're going to jump a bit from 11b to 11e, and of course there's a non-standard certificate. Going to the website, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, they finally have something for the Marine Corps. Finally. For the longest time, they didn't. So, let's go here. Navy Cool. How to use Navy Cool. So, let's look up a rating. Let's see. Let's say I want to be a... Where was it? I saw it the other day. MC. Mass Communication Specialist. So as an MC, you're probably doing a couple of these things right here, and maybe these are some certifications you may want to look at getting. So let's see, Commercial Audio Technician, yeah, that's actually pretty good. Certified Video Engineer, yeah. These are all legitimate, and they also tell you what funding source you have. I can't remember what that is, but you can either use the GI Bill, not necessarily the Post 9/11. I think it's just the MGIB. But let's see. Official ACTFL writing proficiency test. That's new. But hey, PMP, that's a big one. And if you can get the service to pay for that, great. Air Force, is there something similar? Not really. But let me jump back to the Air Force, actually. When it comes to transcripts, the Air Force, you don't have access to the smart transcripts. You're going to have to go contact some people at the Air Force Community College. And last I checked a couple years ago, CCAF is currently experiencing technical difficulties. All right, so there you go. Well, back in the days, you had to call people by phone to get your transcripts, but I'm assuming, according to this, there's now a way you can do it electronically, which is good. And this isn't just Air Force now. This is also anyone that's taking a course on an Air Force base. So Army, Navy, Marine Corps, if you've been on an Air Force base, you've taken a class through the Air Force, you're going to have something listed on one of the transcripts. So if you need to order your transcripts, you're going to want to go here. Now, so we did the credentialing, did the cool Army, we did the cool Navy. Let's jump back to this section right here, the U.S. MAP, or U.S. Military Apprenticeship Program. Even though it says U.S. Military Apprenticeship Program, this is a Navy-specific program here. What it is a program that logs your hours and gives you a record saying, hey, I've done these hours, and then it'll spit out basically a certificate saying that you have these many of hours with this sort of experience and some of the things that you've done. And this is really good, especially for some government jobs where they're going to actually ask you to verify your experience and say, okay, if you've done this, please prove that you've done it. And with a certificate, it makes it much easier. So then, you're not coming in saying oh, hey, I'm a noob to this job. Well, no, with your military experience, you have the recorded hours of training. Here you go. So this is more useful when you first join the service. So if someone had told you that straight out of boot camp and said, hey, register for this program, you probably would have done it, but you're about to get out of the service, or you're probably already out and watching this video, so too late. However, if you have anyone that's going to join the Navy at any point, you're going to want to tell them about that program. Dante's. So earlier we talked about the smart transcripts, or the joint services transcripts as what they're called now. Dante's is the website that maintains all your CLEP tests, all your DSSTs, your Dante's tests. If you remember anything about your local college office, these are some of the tests that they provide. DSST and CLEP tests, these are tests you take that, depending on the college, if they accept it, if you pass these tests, they might take these tests for credit in lieu of you having to take their classes. So in that sense, it saves you money. So what you save on the front end, you have to pay on the back end, because even though you're saving money from having to take classes, you're going to pay when you have to order these transcripts and send them to other schools when you decide to transfer. And if it's a lot of schools, you're going to be paying quite a bit. So just keep that in mind. So in this section, what we had covered already is line item number 18 on the new version of the DD2648. We didn't do the gap analysis yet. We'll cover that in a bit in a separate video. Also line item number 19. And we kind of talked about number 20.